Hey guys, and welcome to one more episode of Builder Nation. For today's agenda, we have Oobli, CEO at Oobli. The company focused on creating sweet proteins to change the world. So welcome, Ali. Super happy to have you here. Excited to have you on the Builder Nations podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. Looking forward to the conversation. Oobli is a special company that's working on plant-based sweet proteins to really change the way we all can satisfy our sweet tooth, but do it in a way that's much better for the planet and much better for our bodies. And I was lucky enough to join here as the CEO about a year ago. But I joined the technology co-founders that have actually been working on this project for about 7 years. So I'm super excited because we are together now just bringing it to market in 2023. We just started selling products. You'll have to check it out at oobli.com.
Wow, that's great. So only 1 year, and look at all of the changes that have been happening at the company. I think that's exciting and amazing. And especially, I wanted to ask you about the latest news that you guys recently closed and oversubscribed 25 million Series B funding round. So I had to congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
And maybe we can share about what this means for the company.
A really important part of me coming in was building a commercial strategy. So that Series B round was about our commercial strategy. And that was sort of our, what will it take for us to bring it to market and show proof of concept around different products and different customer categories. So the bulk of the dollars go to commercialization, but there is a pretty significant amount of the investment that we're actually doing automation and just acceleration of our technology, because we have about 6 or 7 proteins on the platform, and each one goes through its own regulatory process. And now that we actually have results of those regulatory processes, which are great, we're just excited to be accelerating more of those proteins into our solutions. So it's kind of the 3-part of commercialization, technology, automation, and then acceleration of multiple paths for the proteins, because any one protein sort of acts as part of a toolkit for us making the solution to not have to use sugar and use sweet proteins without any trade-off on taste, be more available in more products.
Those are great news. And this is kind of like a new path in the food tech industry. How will you say Oobli is making the difference, or will make it?
Well, I'd like to think there's a lot of reasons Oobli is going to make a difference. I'm personally here, not because I'm not super excited about the climate positive element of precision fermentation and just what a lot of us are excited about in food technology today. But in Oobli in particular, we're really tackling a very big health issue that's a global health issue, and that's diabetes and obesity. It's normal for humans to crave sugar. We were all biologically hardwired to crave sugar and seek it out as energy sources. What we weren't designed for is for it to be recklessly abundant the way it is in our diets today. So we need better solutions that can change the metabolic interaction of our sweet tooth and what's happening with our bodies. And sweet proteins are that solution. So for me, we not only get to do what I think we share with our brothers and sisters of food tech, which is bringing really important solutions for food supply and climate change, but we also have another impact, and that's helping us start to tackle one of our big global health issues.
Thank you for sharing. And you mentioned diabetes, right? Was it hard for you in order to find the best product market fit?
We're still in the journey, right? Because we've been in R&D for 7 years and we're just starting to commercialize. And certainly we're out with chocolate. That's certainly not the end all be all of where we're going to take sweet protein. So we'll be doing a lot of product protein and market fit discovery over the next few years. What I will tell you is that you can get excited about sweet proteins simply on taste, because they're not like a lot of sugar alternatives. They evolved out of nature to actually trick your brain to think they're sugar. So we don't really notice the difference, which is sort of victory number 1 when trying to replace sugar. I think number 2 is we do really reduce the use of sugarcane fields and give a climate positive way to get much more efficient in all of that. But I think the big unlock that we'll see lots of applications for are just all the creative ways we'll start to use it in foods. And we can see the product protein fit right now very cleanly in just about every category, but we get even more excited when we can be using 2 or 3 proteins at once, not just one. And today we're just through regulations with our first protein. So the products you see out there are generally about 70% reduced sugar. When we get multiple proteins onto the market, we'll be talking about 90% or greater sugar reduction. So that's what I'm really excited when you talk about the ultimate fit, because that just makes it easier in a world where people tend to kind of think about, it's harder in some ways to be at 70%. It's easier easier to have people understand 90 to 100 and 100%. And we're just excited about what that can mean without being a trade-off to having something be people's favorite food, right? We want taste to still be number one.
Wow, that's great. And I mean, if I can ask you, like, how was your first experience at trying the product? You know, this is kind of new.
It's super exciting. I mean, for us, we've been eating the product for 2 years, right? So there's a couple dozen different types of products that I've been eating that are sweet protein powered. And we've been doing lots of sensory tests with consumers. What's really fun for me now, though, is just to have product actually on a shelf. Consumers that haven't been educated about sweet proteins, eating it and giving us feedback. And that I'm most excited about, right? Because that's a whole different kind of feedback.
Yeah, I need to try them. I mean, are you guys selling internationally, or is it just national right now?
Right now, we're just US. And that's, again, we're really at a technology level. We're a sweet protein platform company, and we have about a half a dozen sweet proteins on our platform. But each one of those proteins, because there isn't a long history of recorded usage, there are villages in Africa and villages in southern China that have eaten sweet proteins that come out of the plants for a long, long time. But because there isn't that recorded history, we really have to go through a regulatory process in every country that we're in. And by each protein. So our first proteins are just going through US, but we are actually very seriously collaborating in particular in a couple Latin American countries, because we share the problem. North America and South America share the very big diabetes and obesity problem, number one. And number two, a lot of Latin American countries are really struggling with the new labeling requirements. So they're really actively looking for better reduced sugar options. But we also happen to be working with a couple early stage parts of our process in Asia. So we're excited about that too.
Wow, so you guys, I mean, you're planning on expanding, going internationally. So congratulations. I was just about to ask you about the next steps of the company, but I'm pretty sure you just tell me everything about it. Am I missing something?
You will see announcements from us, not just with our first protein in the US, but our proteins actually getting approvals in other countries. That's a big priority for us. We introduced our own chocolates, but we're not just thinking that we're only going to do our own products. So you'll see some announcement with some bigger companies this year, and we're helping them rehabilitate some of their products with a better sweetness solution. And we're very excited to announce our big launch this spring. We will be launching beverages, and I can't tell you more about it quite yet, but stay tuned. Follow us at oobli.com, which is OOBLI.com, and get in the know. We'd love to tell you about where we're showing up. You're going to see us coming in a lot of places.
Wow, beverages, that's new. So I can't wait until spring comes and hear everything about it. And now that we've talked about the product, about your experience at the path, I wanted to ask you, I have recently talked with different CEOs and founders at the companies in the industry, and most of them are involved in the procurement process. So how does that work at the company?
In our world, we have a lot of different types of purchasing. So we're the manufacturer of the ingredient, but we also work with ingredients, and we're a purchaser of those ingredients. And then we make our own products, and then we also sell to third-party product companies like CPG that make their products. So then we're a seller, and we're in the middle of all of that. What I would say from a purchasing point of view, no big call-outs. I mean, the same ones that everybody sees in the macro climate right now, which is, inflation is true everywhere, and certainly we've seen some of that. But we don't have a particularly high sensitivity to changes that have happened just based on the product categories that we're in. Right now, we're in a fairly premium chocolate, and we're going out with drinks this spring, and neither of those have particularly big categories that are affected from a purchasing point of view.
I think that's really interesting because, especially in the industry, most of the hardware intensive companies have had different kind of issues or challenges when it comes to the pandemic.
No, it's a good point. The one area that I would say that we felt it the most, because we were only at an R&D stage all during the pandemic, so we weren't in selling products at the time. We did notice as we were upgrading and automating lots of parts of our lab, we could get everything we wanted, but everything was delayed. So it took us a lot longer to get the new equipment. So decisions that we made for improving automation in our technology sort of stack, those purchases were very slow to get the actual equipment and get them loaded in. So most of that's caught up now. We don't feel much of that anymore as of 2023.
That's great. I mean, 3 years have passed, so I'm glad that everything's working out and everything's back on track, and it didn't affect that much for you guys.
Yeah.
And last but not least, I mean, I would love to hear some advice from you to future, I don't know, CEOs or founders or engineers in the industry.
Well, you asked the question earlier that's always the most important question. I come at being a builder, and I've built in many companies with one, the top thing to keep in mind always is what is the consumer market and what is the problem that you are solving and how well do you uniquely do that? And you talked about product market fit earlier on, and that's still what's going to drive it, even in a cyclical economy, whether we have COVID affecting supply chain or not. It's really the winners are always going to be where's the strongest product market fit and where's the problem that is most in need of a solution. And in our world today, we know 75% of consumers are actively trying to reduce sugar because we all know we need to. We're just not very good at it because we like the taste of it. So ours has a very big macro pull, and I'm very excited about that. But any entrepreneur building any company always has to be going back and talking to consumers and saying, are we solving that problem? And is that problem a big enough problem? And can we uniquely be the solution that not just consumers, but that investors can be excited about?
That's a really interesting point of view, especially from a CEO. I mean, because most of the CEOs and most of the founders are all hands on deck most of the time. So thank you so much for sharing your perspective. And I mean, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for taking the time. Do you have any social media handles? Where can people find you, Ali, or where can people find the company?
For sure. Our website's Oobli, OOOBLI.com. And you can find us at Oobli or Oobli Sweet Proteins on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, as well as Twitter.
And remember, guys, that you can also find more information, interesting articles, interesting interviews just like this one directly on our website, controlhub.com/builder-nation. We would love to hear from you. And Ali, thank you so much for being here. Once again, it was great to have you and great to have a woman CEO. That's great.
I enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate the opportunity to share with everybody our excitement for sweet proteins. So thanks for including us.